No Good Deed is the number one movie in America this week. My God. If you saw, you see the face, you see the palm. This is disappointing to me to see this movie number one at the box office, and sadly, it makes a statement about the sad condition of this Afro-American Negro. Um, just a couple of weeks ago, we buried Michael Brown, and a year ago, Trayvon Martin's killer, George Zimmerman, was just acquitted. What do these events have to do with each other? And this movie? It shows the double mindedness of the Afro American Negro. And what I mean by double mindedness is that you say one thing and you do another. You protest the killing of Michael Brown. I mean, people literally rioted in the streets a couple weeks ago talking about how they wanted justice. But then, 2 weeks later, you make a movie about a black brute perpetuating the stereotype that got Michael Brown killed, the number one movie in America. Do you see where these actions are backwards and how handicapped they are? Um, I just look at this and it's disturbing to me. You make a movie about a black brute, a stereotype from the Reconstruction period about black men being violent and savage and brutal. You make a movie about this, the number one movie in America, black people, but then you go on the other side in real life and protest the killing of black men like Eric Garner, Michael Brown, and Trayvon Martin. Again, it's double mindedness. It's not consistent. It's not a consistent course of action. Your actions aren't matching your words. You can't say you don't want black men to be killed and then continue to support media that features a stereotype that leads to black men being killed. It just just seeing this movie become number one at the box office really disheartens me, because it shows that black people really aren't serious about anything. This Afro American Negro, as David Carroll calls him, he's not serious about anything. He's double-minded. He's not consistent in his actions. And what really disappoints me is just the average black person on the street going out and spending their money to go see this movie. But these same black people, 4 or 5 weeks ago, here in New York, they were having a caravan for justice with the Reverend Al Sharpton to protest the death of Eric Garner. These same black people were protesting, rioting in the streets, tearing up their own neighborhoods for the death of Michael Brown. And they were wearing, and about 2 years ago, they were wearing hoodies and drinking Arizona iced tea and holding Skittles for Trayvon Martin. But these same Negroes will go to a movie theater to watch a movie featuring a black brute, watching Idris Elba playing a black brute. I mean, this is disturbing, watching him terrorize Taraji P. Henson playing this black brute. The same exact stereotype that has gotten many black men arrested, many black men killed, and pretty much you're just sitting there watching this thinking it's okay. Again, the double-mindedness, not consistent actions. And what is even more disturbing about this No Good Deed movie is we see nothing from black leaders. Here we have a brute stereotype on screen. No Al Sharpton, no Jesse Jackson, no NAACP, no black fraternities and sororities. No one. It's okay. I find this thoroughly disturbing. How these Negroes will sit here and say they want A, B, and C, but then go do X, Y, and Z. It's just utterly backwards and completely, completely disturbing. Um, this is more disturbing than what people say about Ray Rice. They'll come out and say Ray Rice was a violent and brutal black man for defending himself, but then you'll go out and watch a movie featuring a black brute as entertainment. Again, more of this inconsistency, more inconsistency, more double-mindedness. I want one thing, but I do another. I want justice, but then I continue to support images that feature, I'm going to say images in media that feature unjust depictions of black men. You can't say you want one thing and then do another. This clearly is it shows the hypocrisy of black people. It shows the inconsistency of black people. Again, this is a movie featuring a black brute, an old stereotype that has gotten life breathed into it. I don't care what anybody says about Latrice Elba's acting ability and how he has to show range and it's okay to play a bad guy. I've written bad guys. As a writer, I've written bad guys, and I don't have to go into breathing new life into old stereotypes to create a villain. I've created many heel characters, and I can make them in very multidimensional without going into old stereotypes. And this movie goes into old stereotypes. It perpetuates this old stereotype, century-old stereotype of this black brute. And the thing that it upsets me as a publisher of positive black fiction is how eager black people ran out. The Negro just ran out to spend his money, especially just ran out to spend his money on this brute movie. Then you have these liberals coming in talking about it's not racist at all. Of course it's just a movie. It's not just a movie. No media ever created. As a man who's been studying media for over 30 years, I can tell you that no media in this world is produced without a reason to create some type of image or present some type of message to people. And if you can't connect the dots and see all of these images, this No Good Deed movie, this whole smear campaign on Ray Rice, and just continued perpetuation with other incidents. This plan is to present this image of a black man as a brute, as a savage, and to say that his life has less value than anybody else's life. And in this case, I find what Mr. Carroll pointed out, there was no Jesse, there was no Al, there was no Farrakhan, there was no NAACP, no fraternities and sororities. Again, he is right about one thing. There is no value on black life unless it involves a white citizen or a white police officer. Then you have this selective black outrage. This movie came out with no outrage from black people. Clearly a stereotype, slapping you in the face. Just like Monsters Ball, just like Precious, just like Training Day. All of these films just came and went. The Negro came out, spent his money, and just sat there and just took these pimp hands to the face. Just took a pimp hand to the face. Just let people slap you in the face. You're going to spend money on product that makes you look bad. Product that makes black men look bad. We're made to look like criminals and savages. And then on the other end of the spectrum for this movie, we get these soft, lame, gooey, cream-filled males, and who are total emasculation, so this black woman can appear to be strong and independent. The entire movie is an insult to black people. Like, black people cannot connect the dots because they have no critical thinking skills to look at this movie and see it for what it is, and to see how it relates to their real life. I can look at the film and see how it relates to real life, how this perpetuation of this black brute is not good for black people, because this old stereotype has set back many black men. And I had said before in my blog that buying a ticket for this movie was literally like putting a bullet in the gun of a racist to kill another black man, because perpetuating the stereotype puts every black man's life in danger. But this stereotype of the brute leads to black men being racially profiled and shot and killed and put in harm's way. So Idris Elba's getting his cut, getting his shine on the backs of a black man, just like the NWA got their shine on the back of a black man by perpetuating this thug stereotype. But most Negroes don't understand how image impacts black people long term. They don't see how 2 + 2 = 4. In their minds, it's just entertainment. And as I stated before, entertainment is not just entertainment. Entertainment is a message. And it has these images and media we see has an impact on us. It has an impact on us all, and it affects how we behave, it affects how we act, and it affects how we react. And I'm deeply saddened to see this movie has #1 at the box office, because it really says to me, it sends a message to me as a publisher of positive black fiction, that black people, a lot of black people out here, they don't want change. They want the same old thing. They want to continue staying in victim mode. They want to continue playing this, what I call codependent ping pong game with white liberals. And they want everything, they want the status quo. I mean, how can you say that you want justice for Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner, and then still spend money to watch a movie featuring a violent, savage, psychotic black man, which is what people saw when they saw Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, and Michael Brown, which is what they saw when they saw Oscar Grant, which is what they see even when they see me in the street sometimes. This image is what's projected on to African American men across the country. And when you spend money to watch movies like No Good Deed, all you're doing is promoting that image of black manhood in media. I'm just thoroughly disgusted, and I'm deeply disappointed in black people. I expected better of black people. I expected black people to have the critical thinking skills to understand the media that's presented to them and is put in front of them, to understand what a black brute is. I mean, I went to high school and college. I learned this about brutes on the 11th grade. I learned about mammies. I learned about Jezebels. And I learned to point these images and media out, and I learned to avoid them. But sadly, many black people don't understand that just because it's black media doesn't mean you have to support all black media. If the black media is dysfunctional, you don't spend money on it. But it's like it's backwards in the black community. If you create images that feature coons, brutes, mammies, sapphires, pickaninnies, and any other sort of stereotype, Negro will be there with his money in his hand, ready to spend it. But if you present humanized images like myself, when I publish books, when you present humanized images and try to diversify the media to African Americans, Negro won't show up. And this is why the black race is going backwards instead of moving forwards. When I read the article a couple weeks ago talking about why there weren't any black summer movies, this is the reason why there aren't any black summer movies. Because how can you ask for a fantasy movie like After Earth, which you won't go see, if you make movies featuring black brutes, but like No Good Deed, the #1 movie at the box office? Again, your double-mindedness right there. You wouldn't go see Will Smith's After Earth. You say you want black fantasy movies, black sci-fi movies. You want a summer movie. Summer movies are sci-fi and fantasy. But then you'll go out and make a brute movie featuring a brute stereotype, or a coon, or a Tyler Perry movie featuring a coon stereotype, the #1 movie at the box office. Again, this is clearly backwards thinking. This is dysfunctional thinking. And it clearly shows me, again, no Al Sharpton, no Louis Farrakhan, no NAACP, no fraternities and sororities, not a single peep out of anyone. Matter of fact, now with what we're doing on Facebook, the same black women who were having the scandal parties, guess who was first in line to see No Good Deed featuring Latrice Elba playing this black brute? Again, backwards. It's completely backwards. I feel like I'm living in a bizarro world. When it comes to the black community, I feel like I'm living in a bizarro world. Everybody talks a good game, but again, your actions speak louder than your words. And when it comes to the African American Negro, his actions just are not consistent with his words. He'll say one thing, he'll say he wants one thing, he'll say he wants change, he says he wants things to get better, he says he wants a strong black community, but in your actions. Your actions. And this is something I learned from screenwriting, learning how to study, when I learned how to write screenplays about 10 years ago. Your action defines your character. And when it comes to African Americans, the actions do not match the character that many of us present in the community. You can't spend your money one way and then say you want a certain type of product. That's just not how it works. And you can't say you don't like stereotypes and then continue to spend money on products that feature stereotypes. You can't say I hate coonery and then spend money on a Tyler Perry movie. You can't say you don't like brutes and then spend money on a movie like No Good Deed. You can't say you want positive and then when people like Michael Jai White, Sally Richards Whitfield, Chris Rock, and Denzel Washington spend money on movies like Great Debaters, Black Dynamite, and help produce movies like I Will Follow, and then you don't show up. Again, your inconsistency, black people, is the reason why you don't get anywhere. It's the reason why black community is regressing instead of progressing. It's the reason why black community is stalling in the face of the rest of the world. I mean, again, I am just disgusted and deeply disappointed because seeing this movie #1 at the box office is really going to set black people back long term. That's what I see happening long term because when this movie becomes #1 at the box office, it sends a message to Hollywood executives. It tells them, okay, it's #1 at the box office. Let's put more brutes on screen. Let's perpetuate more stereotypes about black people. Let's put more coons in movies. Let's put more mammies in movies. Let's put more sapphires in movies. See, every successful movie that comes out with these stereotypes like The Butler, The Help, The Preciouses, the Tyler Perry movies, all you're telling white supremacists is that it's okay to present these films featuring these stereotypes as the normal image of black people, and that this is how black people are supposed to appear. That is the message you are sending to these executives when you spend money on these types of films. You are literally slapping your ancestors in the face. All the people who participated in the civil rights movement, all the people who sacrificed for you to get here. When you spend money on stereotypes, all you're doing is slapping those people in the face and literally telling the world, this is how I want to be seen and this is how I want to be represented. It says to me that not to take black people seriously. All you're doing is telling the world, don't take black people seriously. You're a joke. You're a laughingstock. Don't take me seriously. I'm just going to sit here and eat the same old. I don't want change. I don't want the fantasy movies like After Earth. I don't want the science fiction movies. I don't want the big summer movie blockbuster. I don't want to take myself to the next level. Just give me more of the same old slop, and I'll sit there and eat it up. And sadly, this is the sad state of affairs when it comes to black people in entertainment. We have fallen so far from the 30 years from when the Cosby Show debuted. We've gone from humanized images of black people into this cultural sewer. And I'd say for the last 14 years, it's been a sewer. I mean, it started with Monsters Ball and Training Day, and sometimes it started with Monsters Ball and Training Day, and it just gets progressively worse with each passing year. And I'm, as a guy who has been trying to counter-program this media, and a guy who saw the hairline fractures with that NWA back in 1989 when he was a kid, I now see that it's like I keep wondering when the bottom is going to hit in black media. I keep wondering when the bottom is going to hit because we've gone from humanized images in the Cosby Show to this abyss. I mean, I feel like it's 1914, not 2014. I feel like I'm in the middle. If you really studied media and saw all the images of African Americans, when they were Negroes, And if you saw those images like the Ferris State University's Jim Crow Museum, and you saw these old movies like Charlie Chan and I forget what the other one is, coming to me, Mr. Moto. If you saw the coons in these films, and if you saw the mammies, and if you saw the images in these films, and you compared them to the media of today, it would be the exact same thing. And I mean, and black people are just sitting there, okay, I just put up with it. There are some things you just can't put up with. Sometimes you just have to vote with your wallet, and sometimes you just have to really take a stand. And taking a stand isn't just going out to protest with like Al Sharpton or Louis. It's sending a message to people. Now, when you send a movie like No Good Deed into the bomb, when you make it a bomb at the box office, when you take a show like Scandal and you send it into the low hundreds, you send a message to Hollywood executives that I'm not going to watch this type of content. I'm not going to put up with this type of crap because this type of image is negative about black people. It is going to harm black people, and long term, it's going to do damage to the black community. And if you love black people, you really can't watch this type of material. You understand the impact of images and pictures on black people, because a picture is 1,000 words, and it makes a statement about history. And you couldn't go along with this type of thing. And the sad part is black people can't really think on that level. They can't process on that level. And I just feel that it's going to get worse. And it's going to take something literally to somebody doing blackface. Another Ted Danson type incident from 1990 when he and Whoopi Goldberg came to some roast of some type, and he had on blackface for black folks to wake up. And sometimes I don't even think they're going to wake up then, because it's disturbing out there. I mean, I think about the images of black people, and that's one of the reasons why I work so hard to produce counter-programming in my books. And the reason why I started doing videos is because black people really need to see humanized images of black people, and they need to see humanized content, positive images of African Americans, because what's being presented today by Hollywood studios is just like these brutes, just like these old stereotypes. I mean, this is an old stereotype that has been had life breathed back into it by Idris Elba. And they're talking about he's elevating his career, but I just see how he just sold out the black community. Again, I'm deeply disappointed that this movie's #1 at the box office. And I'm ashamed that it's #1 at the box office. If we put this type of support in the movies like After Earth, or even some other type of film, some of these other small indie black films, we could have made a difference like we did in the 80s with Spike Lee. When Spike Lee was around, but we got to do better than this, black people. We got to stop supporting these stereotypes and putting this stuff to the forefront. Because as long as we keep spending money, they're going to keep making the cone fest. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.